Well, guys, I think it goes without saying that it has been a bumpy ride over these first 4 months or so in this new Trump administration. In that time, we saw Elon Musk come into the government with Donald Trump's blessing. He started burning everything down from the inside out, started shutting down agencies, started laying off thousands of federal employees, probably became the most hated man in our country, if not the world. And now he's kind of tucked his tail between his legs and has started to back away from anything to do with government. And even the divorce is kind of getting a little messy because he's now speaking out against the Trump administration, and they're trying to pass this disgusting bill through Congress right now. And so I want to go ahead and go over Elon's story over these past few months. And then I want to actually take a look at what the true legacy it is that he will be leaving behind. So let's go ahead and start off. How did Elon Musk even get involved in the Trump administration? If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Musk spent $288 million to elect Trump and his allies.
And they've also got to address the deficit. So
Trump invited Musk into the Oval Office and cabinet meetings. Musk called himself First Buddy.
You got to give him credit.
Trump welcomed Musk's idea to create a Department of Government Efficiency.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
In 4 months, Doge took the chainsaw to every federal department. 250,000 workers were fired or bought out. Musk even slashed grants and staffing at environmental agencies like the EPA and NOAA after decades of warning about the risks of climate change.
Yeah, so if we wanted to boil that story down, Elon Musk spent nearly $300 million to get Donald Trump elected, and then when he got into office, he was just kind of the tag-along and kind of a heat shield for the Trump administration. They started up the Department of Government Efficiency, we know as Doge, and Elon Musk just kind of went to town, started going after all of these agencies, going after all of this federal funding, and I think more importantly, he started going after agencies that were looking into his companies. He went after agencies where he could have impacts over the regulatory environment to make his life easier through his companies. And it may have gone great for the first couple of months. I think we did see his wealth skyrocket right off the bat there. But over time, and not that much time at all, he's now lost over, I think, $100 billion because he's just become the most hated man that this country has probably ever seen in quite some time. So with all of that blowback that came, Elon Musk just wasn't able to handle it. And that was kind of the next part in the story, right?
But Musk did not enjoy the pushback.
We received several 911 calls about a fire.
There were acts of violence, death threats, lawsuits, mandatory rehirings, shouting matches with cabinet members. Tesla profits plummeted by 71%.
Number one, it's a great product.
And Musk's net worth dropped by $100 billion.
No, that's beautiful.
Last month, Musk finally left Washington, but still intended to work on Doge a day or two a week.
I mean, just looking back at all of these events, we saw the Tesla sales event on the White House lawn. We saw Elon Musk wielding a chainsaw on stage, acting like a complete child. And like I said, all of this has happened in just the span of a few months. But all of the blowback that Elon Musk saw, I don't know how it impacted him personally, but it seems to be quite a bit. Because now he's kind of stepping away from the Trump administration. He's kind of doing his rehabilitation tour with all of these different news agencies, giving interviews to this guy or that guy. And it's just been an absolute disaster for him. We saw, like I said, the sales of Tesla here in the States, I think, go down 71%. We see even overseas that Tesla sales are being absolutely devastated because he is just that unpopular. So he came into the government. He lit everything on fire, tried to benefit himself in various ways, burning down different agencies and so on and so forth. He got some blowback, became probably the most hated man in our country, and now he's kind of trying to fade away quietly, which is the next part in the story, right? Here he is trying to now distance himself from the Trump administration.
You've spoken about how much of a grind and a stress it was on you. And, Tesla's reputation took a hit, your reputation took a hit. People are very upset about Social Security and national parks and air traffic and food safety and cancer research, Alzheimer's research. Now they've had a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
Might there have been a different approach?
Yeah, I think what was starting to happen was that, it's a bit unfair because, Doge became the whooping boy for everything. So if there was some cut, real or imagined, everyone would blame Doge. I've had people think that, somehow Doge is going to stop them from getting their Social Security check, which is completely untrue.
Well, I guess I was just thinking about the, move fast and break things, before you really understand what the agency does.
Yeah, I guess part of it is depends on where you're coming from.
The most disturbing part about this whole thing is he seems to have zero self-awareness of all of the damage and all of the suffering that he's actually caused. When he's even asked about it, well, might you rethink the way you do things if you had to do it again? Did you think going in there with the move fast and break things mantra, was that really the right approach for our federal government? And he goes on to say in this answer that, oh, well, I guess it really just depends on where you're coming from. I come from the philosophy that we need smaller government, and therefore, if you believe that we should have big government, then I guess we're just going to disagree. That is just bullshit. What you did is not a differencing of philosophies between small government and big government. What you did is came into our government and started burning it down from the inside out. You cut off funding for millions of people who relied on this funding. You fired federal workers who have been working for our government for many, many years. And you did it in the most callous way possible. There was zero empathy. There was no thought into how these different agencies work. There was no thought into how the federal government is supposed to work, how we could actually make it more efficient. And instead, you got the move fast and break things, which is causing all of this different suffering. And so, remember, his original goal was to come into the government and save $2 trillion. Then he revised that to $1 trillion. And I think the latest number I heard was $170 billion that they may have saved. But even that number appears to be lower because I think only $9 billion is being sent over to Congress for actual finalization of rescission. So the goal was huge, and he caused all of this damage, all of this suffering, and it appears as though it was kind of all for nothing.
And worst of all, it might have all been for nothing. Musk claims to have saved the government $175 billion so far, nowhere close to his original target, or even his revised target. And that was before the president's new spending bill passed the House. According to the Congressional Budget Office, it will add $3.8 trillion to our debt over the next 10 years.
Yeah, so we see his initial $2 trillion, revised it to $1 trillion. Now he says it's $175 billion. But then you take a look at what the Republicans are trying to pass through Congress now. They're adding more money for border security. They're adding more money for the military. So any savings that Elon Musk may have accomplished, they're all just being wiped out anyway because Republicans are going in behind and just spending more money in more places. So Elon's mission was a failure. But I think what's more important is the actual legacy that he is going to leave behind. This wasn't some tech genius coming in and actually trying to help the federal government run more efficiently. This was a self-interested billionaire asshole who was targeting agencies that could have an impact in his business environment. It was a selfish billionaire who was just trying to do himself more favors, trying to accumulate more and more wealth while causing all of this pain and suffering along the way. And Lawrence O'Donnell had a really good piece about what Elon Musk's legacy will actually be. And I think it sums it up pretty well right here.
the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children. That is Elon Musk's singular achievement in government, because Elon Musk decided to destroy the United States Agency for International Development, the agency that was feeding more starving children in the world than any other agency. More starving children in the world depended on surplus food from the United States to survive. Food we do not need and cannot consume. Food we have overproduced in this country. And Elon Musk decided to take that food away from them and let them die. And that is not news to the White House press corps. No one is counting, because Elon Musk fired the people who were counting.
It's pretty brutal and disgusting when you think about who Elon Musk is, the wealthiest man in the world, who came to the United States and built his wealth off the back of the American experiment, our regulatory bodies, our rule of law. He comes over, builds himself up to the wealthiest man in the world, and then he tries to, infiltrate our government and is now killing thousands upon thousands of people across the world because he had a conspiracy-brained idea that USAID was somehow a money laundering operation for the Democrats. And now you've got actual people dying because USAID has basically just been burnt to the ground. That is what Elon Musk has done. And it's just so insane to me that when anybody in the Trump administration is asked about this, we saw Marco Rubio being asked about this in front of Congress. Well, how many people have died because USAID is no longer? And Marco Rubio tries to say, nobody's died on my watch. Elon Musk will tell you the same thing. Others in the Trump administration will tell you the same thing. That, we're not harming anybody. Elon Musk even had the gall to say, I've never hurt anybody in my life. Well, what about all of these children around the world who are now dying because the United States is stepping back from their role as a doer of good in the world? And if you don't believe that there are actually people dying out there, here is just one story of a 5-year-old who has died because we are no longer providing HIV medicine at 12 cents per day to him.
Let me help Rubio with the truth. Meet Evan Anzoo, a 5-year-old boy who was born with HIV in South Sudan. I mentioned Evan in a column in March from South Sudan. This was a child as precious as yours or mine. Evan's life was in our hands, and for 5 years, America kept him alive with antiretroviral medicines costing less than 12 cents a day through the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR. This was a program started by President George W. Bush and has saved more than 26 million lives so far, and it turned the tide of AIDS around the world and built enormous goodwill toward the United States. Then along came President Trump and his freeze on most humanitarian aid in January. How could a 5-year-old orphan possibly obtain medicine on his own? Evan weakened and soon died of an opportunistic infection.
And that's just one story. In that same article, they document another story of a girl who also died because all of the humanitarian aid has just been stripped away because Donald Trump and Elon Musk decided that was the cool thing to do. And the only argument right now is whether we should be documenting tens of thousands of deaths versus hundreds of thousands of deaths. And that's just so far. You saw here that the PEPFAR program has saved over 26 million lives over the life of the program. And now that is no longer, maybe it'll be restored in some fashion, but how many people are going to die in the meantime? We're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who were killed by the richest man in the world, acting as though he was, on behalf of the United States. It is grotesque. It is just sad that somebody like Elon Musk would wield the name of America and go do so much damage across the world, cause so much suffering across the world. And then he has the gall to look into a camera and say, I've never hurt anybody in my life. These people are sick. They're psychotic. They're psychopathic. They're all the words. These people seem to have zero empathy for the people that they are harming. And I think that that is the legacy that Elon Musk will leave behind. And I think that the Trump administration has blood on its hands because they allowed the wealthiest man in the world to come in and kill some of the poorest children in the world. So, I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just launders shit for Donald Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please remember to smash that subscribe button. Of course, that is free. And if you guys want to see how Bill Burr is now calling out the Trump administration for their inhumanity and their cruelty, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. His words are powerful. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.